you excited for this panel? Well, I am so excited for you to be joining us today for a spot with Dive, where I get to sit down and dive a little deeper with some of these people from the entertainment industry that we know and we love. But before I can bring our guest out, I gotta do a little housekeeping. So let's start with, please don't approach the stage before or after this panel. Due to the current issues that we are seeing in the entertainment industry, I'm sure you're all aware at this point that we cannot ask questions directly out of the audience this year. We are taking questions in our Discord. You can check the QR code, head over to DragonCon's website, find the link, join the Discord, and post your questions there. I will be pulling them right out of the Discord, all right? If you don't have Discord, or you're like, Discord's not my thing, I bet you got a friend who does. So turn over to your friend, give them your question, have them put it into the Discord with your name next to it so we can make sure to give you a shout out. Please note that in the Discord, if you are listening, those questions, there are certain things we can and cannot talk about this year. So if we skip your question, it may be because it walked too close to a line, and we are here to show solidarity and support our entertainment industry, our actors, our professionals, our players. So let's really be respectful of that because we want these guests to come back next year. Please remember to review this panel when it's all said and done on your app. I'm going to say that now so we can get out of here on time. And other than that, I'm done talking, everybody. Let's welcome to the stage our first guest, Elijah Wood!
Hello.
Trying to get around DragonCon, y'all, so they'll join us soon, I promise.
You know what it's like. It's big, y'all.
It's big.
This hotel is awesome. I just went out to the main area and looked up and was like, wow. It's really incredible.
It is, I would say, without crossing lines, it's been used in quite a few pieces of entertainment that we have all consumed a few times over, so it's kind of cool to get to actually host it here in that hotel. It's so very personal, yeah. Well, how are you doing?
I'm great. How are you?
Yeah, I'm all right. Did you make it through Saturday? You were here yesterday.
I did, yeah.
Yeah. This
is my first DragonCon, and y'all, I love it. This is great. Y'all put on something really special, and you can really feel the community here. It's so awesome.
Yeah.
It just vibrates differently. It's awesome.
We were talking backstage, and you said something I thought was so poignant, which is like, all these other cons, they do great cosplay, but nobody does cosplay and costumes like DragonCon.
No.
There's such a personalness to what we create and why we create it,
And so many deep cuts, too.
Yeah,
It's great.
Yeah, it's really, really wonderful. Well,
Shout out to Midsommar yesterday. Did anybody see? That was amazing. Oh my God.
I think, first I want to say thank you. Thanks for coming out. Thanks for joining us.
Me.
Yeah, and just spending your weekend with us, all of us. We've got so many questions, and I want to roll right into them, but the one I always like to kick off with is just a little bit about how you got started. When did you know you were going to be an actor? Like, when did you know that this is what you wanted to do and not something else?
Ooh, it's a funny story.
Yeah.
It wasn't a light bulb moment. It wasn't, it's not the story you often hear where it's like, someone sees a piece of work and they think, oh, I want to do that, or, aspirations to do theater. It was none of those things really. I think I was 5 years old. My mom was watching TV and there was a commercial that came on. There was a child in the commercial and she was like, that would be so much fun for Elijah. He's got so much energy. That'll be a really good outlet for his energy, is what she thought. My brother, who's 7 years older than me, was already interested in drama and sort of theater in school. So he had kind of a vested interest in performing. But there's no outlet for that in Cedar Rapids. I'm from Cedar Rapids. Shout out to Ireland. It was sort of a circuitous path. I ended up going to a modeling school.
Oh.
And did some local regional modeling, including runway modeling at a local mall.
Yeah, that used to be a
For
thing.
real,
Like in the 90s, it was a whole thing. You modeled in a mall, yeah.
For real, it was awesome. No, I don't know if it was awesome. basically, that particular school that I attended had somewhat of an acting component. Anyway, there's a convention in Los Angeles called the IMTA. It's a modeling and talent convention. My brother, my mom, and I went, and I competed, because there's like all these different, it's such a weird convention, now that I think about it. But there's like, monologues and musical performances, things like that. So I prepared the Bobby McFerrin song, Don't Worry, Be Happy. We had a local person in Iowa work out that, like an a cappella version of it, or like not a cappella because the original is a cappella, but like a musical thing. So he had he basically wrote the musical accompaniment. That was my backing track. The story is, I'd get on stage to do that, and the reception was so loud that I couldn't hear the backing track anymore. So I actually lost track of where I was in the song, but I just kept going. And I was 8 years old. No, I was 7. I was 7 years old, just desperately trying to hold it together. And I got through to the end of the song, albeit probably not in the right space or whatever in time. Anyway, long story short, that weekend, I ended up meeting a talent manager who asked me if I wanted to become an actor. I thought that sounded fun. The idea of coming to Los Angeles and like maybe doing commercials sounded fun and exciting, coming from Iowa. And so we went out to Los Angeles for a trial run, got an agent, just with the intent only really to like audition for commercials and maybe do a couple of commercials here and there. And my mom was interested in us moving out of Iowa anyway and sort of broadening our horizons. And so we just tried it out, and within the first 6 weeks, I got my first job, which was a Paula Abdul music video, Forever Your Girl, directed by David Fincher, who had not started making movies yet. And it was like a series of commercials here and there after that, and then I got a small role in a film. The very first role in a film was Back to the Future 2. And so, basically, that moment of, when I knew I wanted to be an actor, it just sort of happened organically. That's where I just started working. I immediately loved it. I weirdly immediately had a sense of an understanding of what it was, at least on a basic level. So I didn't take classes for it.
Sure.
I didn't go to school for it. I really genuinely learned as I went along. And the older I got, the more I worked and the more experience I had, the more I fell in love with it.
Yeah. So it was all experience. Like
it was all experience.
It was like the little snowball effect, right? All the way down.
It totally was.
Yeah. So how do you, after all these years, keep your creative energies in the place to keep doing this? It's a rigorous business,
Yes, it is. But it's different every time, genuinely. It's not every single opportunity, every single creative endeavor, it's a different group of people. It's a different endeavor, requiring new challenges, hopefully, from you. So it's always fresh, it's always new. And been doing this since I was 8, and every single job I start, I approach with the same degree of anxiety and nervousness, and it feels like the first day of school, and I feel like I'm gonna get fired, and I go through all those feelings. And then I find my comfort zone and find my space in it all, and I'm off to the races with a new creative team. But what keeps your creative juices is just new experiences.
Yeah.
I try and find things that are consistently challenging, and I try and work outside of my comfort zone so that I can push myself. I mean, that's, within any creative endeavor, you want to step outside of what's familiar.
Yeah, absolutely. I hear muttering backstage.
do we have-
You know what that means, everybody. On your feet and welcome to the stage, Andy Serkis! My goodness, the love on the stage is palpable, everybody. It's palpable.
Sorry I'm late.
Oh, man. Well, Well, Elijah was just giving us this beautiful story about how he got started. So it's but it was perfect. It's your turn. You arrived just in time for the question to pass to you. So we had kind of started off by asking, when did you know this was the industry for you? When did you know you wanted to be an actor, a voiceover artist? When did that happen for you? It kind of clicked. The light bulb went off.
The light bulb went off for me when I was at college, actually, because I went to college to study art.
Okay.
I had no intention of becoming an actor at all. And in the first year of my college, you had to study another subject, and I had no idea what else I could do. I just wanted to be there to do my thing, to do my painting and graphic design and all of that kind of stuff. And then there was a very strong theatre studies department in the university. And I started designing sets for them and making props, and then gradually started doing tiny little bits of acting roles, sort of minor characters in plays and Shakespeare plays and so on. And then at the end of the first year, I was offered this part in a play that just like, and I discovered, I truly discovered what it is to kind of walk in someone else's shoes, be someone else.
What was the part? I gotta know.
It was a character called the Kid in a play called Gotcha by Barry Keefe, an amazing kind of social commentary kind of play. It was written in the late 70s, but this was in the early 80s we were doing. And it was just an amazing story of this kid on the last day of school who had no prospects and nowhere to go. And it's his journey of of how he can somehow gain control of his life, which was about, what he did was he actually held his teachers kind of to ransom and told them what an awful job they'd made of him. And it was like, that was the light bulb moment for me. It was like the whole notion of climbing into someone's head and body and mind and to the depths that we were doing in that play. That was kind of that was it. That was the thing. And then I phoned my parents up and said, I don't want to do visual arts anymore. They were totally relieved. I said, I want to become an actor. And there was total silence for the next 3 years,
Oh, man. Well, how do you then, I was saying, you both have been in this rigorous industry a long time. How do you keep your creative energies active? What is it for you that keeps that creative space?
Working with amazing people.
Yeah.
And that's the bottom line. It's working on and being part of telling stories and getting the opportunity to make things for the likes of you guys. That actually hopefully means something that touch people, that move people. You want to be. And I know you're exactly the same. You start to become quite choosy about what it is you want to do and the stories you want to be part of, either telling or acting in, or So that's for me anyway. That's what keeps every day. It's just like, and the thing is, it's always like starting again from scratch.
Yep, you said the same thing. Yeah, just before you stepped on stage. Yeah.
Never the same.
No,
It's always like starting.
And the fear of that as well. It's like,
I said the same thing.
Twinsies, that was
I'm riddled with anxiety. It's like the first day of school. I feel like they're going to fire me. I go through that whole process every single time.
Isn't it incredible?
Yeah.
Like,
We're nearly 40 years in. What the hell?
I mean,
but it's great because it means that we're not taking anything for granted, and we're continually. We take it seriously and we're pushing ourselves. If we're feeling that much sense of responsibility to feel that anxiety, it's a good thing.
Absolutely.
My
I
auntie
wouldn't
teacher,
change it for anybody.
what did she used to say? She used to say, nerves means something
Yeah.
to you, So yeah. Well, what is it then? I think you prompted me into my next question, which is, what is it that draws you to a project now? Now that you have that kind of awareness of what you're looking for, what is it that both of you look for in a great project?
It's a gut response for me. I mean, it's a gut response based on, it can be a number of factors. It can be a filmmaker. It could just simply be, the piece of material, sure, but a filmmaker that excites you. Someone's previous work that you're like, I'm on fire for whatever it is that they do. I want to be a part of what it is that they're creating. Right. Sometimes it is just a script that sings to you. It's a variety of elements, but it's always a gut response. It's a feeling of, in your heart of hearts that you can't not do it.
Oh, yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, it
That's how
calls
I
you
feel.
that way.
Where it's like, I'm effed. Like, I have to do this thing. Yeah.
100%.
Same.
So, well, yeah, I mean, because I'm doing kind of more directing now as well. It's just like I've had projects that I've been burning to tell for a long period of time, and you start to invest in these projects, and obviously they take years, but as you know, they take years to come together. And once you're a few years in, you just got to tell them, you know.
Yeah.
And you all that time you've invested in creating a project that you know you're going to finally, hopefully. And you don't even know whether it's actually going to work, whether you're going to get the finance for it or whatever. You know, you're doing so much of the uphill push to get something going. But if you really believe in that story, I do firmly believe that you'll get there at some point.
Yeah.
It might take a hell of a time, but
You'll get there. Yeah. Wonderful. Well, I'm going to turn to our Discord, which is where both this audience and everybody at home has been submitting their questions. And I really love this. It's not about your profession, but more about you. So Lori in our Discord wants to know, if a song played every time you walked into the room, what song would play? Yeah, what's your theme song? You know, door opens up, swings open for you, fog pours in, lights.
It's not going to be what you imagine. I mean, that sounds like...
No, I want it to be what you imagine.
I know. I don't know. No. Amazing.
what is love?
Great choice. Bold entrance.
I don't know, it'd probably be some piece of jazz, like some Bill Evans or something.
Oh,
you know?
Oh, set the mood as you come in the door, yeah.
It's not, I don't think I want to make an impression when I walk in the door. I just want it to be lovely.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
I don't want to walk in like, hey, I'm here. I want it to be like, hey, I'm here.
Okay.
And also, this is not
I'll tell you what,
Do you know what I mean?
I'll be Bill Evans and you walk in.
Okay.
That was perfect. What a great question. Thank you, Discord, for that. Didn't know I needed it, but here we are. Now, I know both of you are...
Can I interrupt you for 1 second? Are you still doing visual art? Because I didn't know your background until recently. And is that something that you still express?
Not. I mean, I did paint for a while, but then it's just I realised that no one wanted to look at my painting. So they'd rather look at pieces of film that I've made. And actually, you know, much as though, and I'll probably go back to it in my dotage. I think I'll probably go back to it and kind of scratch out something that you know is pleasing only to me. Because as I think I mentioned to you last time, like Lorraine, my wife, would never hang anything of mine up in our house.
Really?
No, it's far too dark and boring.
I would love to see your old art. That sounds amazing.
We binned a lot of it actually. When we moved house, he was just like, yeah. I took photos of them and then we put them in the bin.
One of these days.
Somewhere out there, there's Andy Serkis art in a bin.
I just think that's so...
So actually,
Sorry.
no, don't be sorry. It's a great question. It actually leads me to my next one, which is, do you both have hobbies, things you fill your time with when you're not on an offset? Like, what's like an extra little thing you do for fun?
I mean, I'm a record collector.
Really? What is your favorite record? Oh my God, me too. I have
My
such a vinyl.
favorite?
Yeah, your favorite.
That's
Like,
very hard.
I know you have one that, like, you know, when you go to the shelf and you like pull them out and they bring such joy to your life, even before you
Yeah.
lay them down.
That's so hard.
I won't make you choose your children in front of everybody.
I don't know if I have a favorite album of all time. I can't. Can you answer that question?
No,
I don't
no.
think I can.
It's impossible. That's impossible.
It's ever changing.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Having said that, Bill Evans is pretty good.
Yeah. Okay, so you collect records. That's really, really neat.
Yes.
Do you do anything like so outside of what we know of you?
Well, I am a massive mountaineering freak. I do love climbing.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Like you boulder? You actually like?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah,
really?
Yeah. I mean, I love being in the mountains. I climb. I go out into the Alps. Take my family into very dangerous situations. Risk my children's life. They can tell me not to do it anymore now because they're old enough. But no, we have always spent time doing climbing and walking. Yeah.
Yeah. I cycle with it as well. I love cycling.
Oh, okay. My poor knee doesn't like cycling so much anymore.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, but hiking, I can do that.
Hiking,
I can do that as well. Okay, well, I know that both of you are proud dads, which I think is amazing. Do you think, are your kids, I know yours are on path to follow the entertainment industry, but how do you support them in their dreams, whatever they may be?
My two kids are too young to have dreams. I'm sure they have dreams.
Maybe they get
They
there,
have not
yeah.
contextualized what it means to be an adult quite yet, and what dreams lay before them. So
Sure.
a little early for that, but
Well, how do you plan to support them? I'm sure you've had great advice and things throughout the years.
I mean, honestly, whatever it is that they want to do, you know. I mean, our son has seemingly interested in music. He's taking. There's a similar thing to School of Rock called Kid Row in LA. He goes to that, so it's like he's in a band. The band meets every week. They rehearse a song. And he's almost 4, so it's accompanied by the teachers. But they have band practice every week. It's awesome. So he loves music. He's got a real ear for it. Since he was 2.5, nearly 3, I was able to hum songs and he would guess what the song was, which is fucking nuts.
That is amazing.
So I'd like hum a song and be like, that's the Meters, that's, that's the Smile, like all these different
I
bands
see a
that I play.
dream building in the making. Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know, like I personally love music so much so that if that was something that you would love to do, it would be awesome. But, as parents, you just want to support your children in whatever it is, whatever their voice ends up being.
Yeah.
And I think that's also part of the fun of being a parent is learning who your children are, shaping their world, sure, creating a path for them to succeed, absolutely, but allowing them space to blossom into who they're going to be.
You're gonna be you're such a great dad. You're such a great dad. And I know your kids have followed into the entertainment industry as well. How are you supporting them through what I'm sure is a rigorous journey?
Well, it is precarious, and that's why my parents didn't speak to me for the 3 years after I told them I wanted to. But we couldn't turn around to our kids and say, "You're not going to become an actor." We just couldn't do it.
Yeah.
And they grew up, on film sets and backstages of theatres, and it was their world. My wife's an actress. What chance did they have, quite frankly? But they've always loved it. And I remember Ruby, my daughter, at the age of 8, and she said, "I want to become an actor." And we were like, "Great, why do you want to do that?" She said, and this is amazing, and why we kind of thought, "Oh, this is all right." She said, "Because I want to become other people and go forwards and backwards in time." And I went, "Well, that seems fair enough to me." And so I thought, well, yeah, I can't really go, "Well, you're not going to become it,"
Those forwards and back in time.
"No child of mine."
So beautiful. Well,
So cool.
if you could go back and speak to your younger self, what advice would you have? And this comes from our Discord as well, from Kate Fox.
Speak to your younger
Self, what advice might you have for your younger self?
Answer emails. Better at getting back to people. No, it's fine. It's fine if it works.
I actually owe you it.
Yeah, things like that.
It's like
I don't have regrets in my life really, and I feel so grateful to be the person that I am now as a result of the collective decisions that I've made and the happenstance that has occurred to me, right? It's an all combination. So I don't know that there would be anything that I would tell myself, because I don't know that I don't know. I never really sweated anything too much or let anything kind of get in my way, but there are certainly things about myself where I'm like, well, maybe you could be better at. I have a bit of I used to have a really bad reputation for not getting back to people, but I'm very, in my life, it's a strength and a weakness, which is that I'm very focused on the present. I'm very present as a person. The weakness of that is that you're not really concerned with the past and you're not looking forward so much. It's all right here. So there's collateral damage to that. So maybe I would say, dude, pay a little attention to the.
Don't just live in the now.
Maybe.
Yeah. What about you, Andy? What could you say to your younger self?
I kind of partially agree with Elijah. Really, make sure that you're organised, you know, I mean, I just wish I was, I mean, I am so fortunate in that I have people around me who can help me make decisions about things. So, I mean, like you know, when you're creatively driven about something, kind of nothing else really gets, you know, gets in the way of it. But boy, I really do. I have thousands of unread emails. Like, literally, which is, and I just get swamped by it, and I just kind of, you know, I'm very bad at sort of putting things in a box and not dealing with it.
Right.
Really.
I'm very similar.
You know, so we'd be great together.
Perfect. Another thing I would say is, well, actually two things. Now that we're thinking about it, stick with the piano, dude. Fucking don't quit the goddamn piano, right? And learn a fucking language.
Yes.
The fact that I'm 42 and I don't speak another foreign language is such a, it's a regret. My wife speaks 7 languages.
Wow.
They say something. I feel like such a schlub. Like, so bad. I grew up in Los Angeles and around Spanish all my life, and my Spanish is muy mal. And I took French when I was younger, and I just didn't stick with anything. And the same with piano. I took piano at varying times in my life. And look, we all, I'm sure, so many of you can relate. It's the classic thing. You know, your parents want you to take piano or an instrument. It's not really your vibe. You don't really want to practice. It's annoying. It's a hassle, and then you let it go. And I would love nothing more than to be proficient at an instrument at this age. And obviously, I can go back and I can learn it, and I could probably still learn a foreign language. But man, what's that? Oh, gracias. Yeah.
All right.
There you go.
Well, Lori from the Discord has a pretty stellar question here, which is, what day in your life would you maybe like to have relived? If you had to Groundhog Day, what day would you choose to Groundhog Day?
There's a lot.
For me, it would definitely be the birth of our first child, Ruby, which is just such a kind of transcending experience. It's unbelievable. Obviously, lots of your parents out there, but just we chose to have our kids born at home, and we were lucky enough to be in a position to do that and have a water birth for all our kids were born in water actually.
Okay.
And the day of leading up to it, you know, of course the dads are pretty useless for most things, but they're pretty good at assembling water birthing pools. And I'll never forget this moment where my wife Lorraine she'd been in labour for quite some time, and she was in the water and moving around, and I could see, you know, and you could tell things were getting close, and she was going through this moment of transition, and she suddenly stood up out of the water, and it was kind of like a shot out. It was like the poster for Platoon, actually. she sort of stood up out of the water, and water was dripping off her, and she went, "Oh my God!" And I was like. And it's never left me that image. It really was like the poster from these cartoons. So I'd relive that.
Yeah, okay. Woo! Go ahead, Elijah, top that.
I can't. I mean, this is so heroic and beautiful and transcendent.
No.
That's amazing. I don't know. It would be a day with my family.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know what it was. I don't know if there's a specific day or a specific time, but I don't know. My family is incredible, and I don't know. Just be some.
Just a simple day with the fam.
So.
But that's a great thing to relive.
Or relive pre-kids day with my wife.
A proper vacation.
You know what I mean? I can think of a few of those days. That would be pretty rad. I love you, kids.
Oh man, that's pretty great. Well, I'm gonna go and ask a question that I think maybe is burning for all of us, which is: have you always been a fan of horror and sci-fi, kind of all these nerd fandoms before you really became part of the fandom?
For me, yeah, not so much fantasy, although I love all kinds of cinema, and certainly there are fantasy movies that are classics that I'd seen. I wouldn't necessarily have called myself a devotee of that genre,
Sure.
but genre in general, yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Grew up watching horror movies and sci-fi films, and certainly fantasy was in the mix, so the connection to what it is that you all love is certainly, I grew up in it.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, no, I mean, for me, I suppose, yeah, same. Growing up with films as a child, yes, absolutely. In fact, you know, E.T. and you know, Back to the Future, or you know, those kinds of movies really. But then Blues Brothers, Life of Brian, you know, sort of like just to kind of. But actually, I wasn't. I wasn't like you. I mean, I spent a lot of time in my early career being in theatre and then getting into independent films and sort of small independent films in the UK. And for me, that was the world. I never thought that you know anything else was possible. Really. You know that it was possible to enter into this world. You know. And so yeah. I like you. It kind of it happened with certain films which you can't really talk about.
Well,
That'd be cool. There's no such thing as a convention for the kinds of movies that he was just describing, as sort of independent, you know, more intimate film. Like, wouldn't it be rad if there was a convention like for like Dogma 95 movies? And like weird Danish fucking like that would be so cool.
Great idea.
It would like a weird like indie fest.
Let's do it.
Dude! And come dressed as like a Hal Hartley movie or something. You know,
something
like,
really obscure.
it'd be so cool.
Come dressed as Kate Blanchett in Tar.
Yes! Yes! And like, you know, Wes Anderson and those kinds of things totally apply.
Great idea.
Yeah.
Indie fest. Let's do it.
All right, that's on you two, though.
All right.
We gotta make that happen.
All right, we got it.
Well, I always like to ask a little bit about your mentors, people that really inspired you, whether that was on screen, off screen, or somebody that's just a part of your life. Who really has been impactful and kept you going over, like, through all these years? Is this a mentor figure?
Well, several. I mean, going back to those days, British film directors like Ken Loach, Mike Leigh, those directors, that was the kind of the world that I was sort of really inspired by when I was first acting on screen. And then you know, like you say, like Hal and Paul Thomas Anderson, and those kinds of movies were really inspired. And then of course, you know, the single most kind of informing and life-changing relationship, really, or a mentor, really, has been Peter Jackson. I mean, without question for me, you know, because what he was able to do for me was to sort of bring those two worlds together.
Yeah.
And have access to this world, but actually tell small, truthful stories about humanity, and which were, and I think that combination suddenly was just like this kind of, that was a huge epiphany that you could actually do that you can make something personal and exist on a huge canvas.
Wow.
Yeah, I don't have a specific mentor figure. I mean, I think for me, it's been all of these incredible filmmakers and actors that I've gotten to work with that have informed on and inspired me and taught me. I mean, Andy, with Andy, I mean, you know, these relationships and the other actors that we get to work with, they elevate you. They, you know, we are nothing but without our fellow actor and without the sort of creative team and lifting all of us up. And so over the years, it's just been innumerable, unbelievable people I've gotten to work with that have totally inspired me and elevated anything better.
Wow. If history weren't, definitive, and you could work with anybody, alive or in our past, who would you want to share a project with?
I mean, they're so bad to work with Kubrick.
Oh,
Not so into like 100 takes, but I mean, just such a master. Yeah, so my mind just immediately goes to him, and just a filmmaker that's been a part of something that he created.
Yeah, his vision for sure. What about you, Andy?
I'd love to have worked on some of Francis Ford Coppola's films. Yeah, I mean, that would be great.
Really cool.
Or actually, even going back into the two, like, do you know the Red Shoes, Paolo Pressburger's film Red Shoes?
If you've not seen The Red Shoes, oh, y'all, do yourself a favor. If you haven't seen it, it's, oh my God.
Isn't it incredible? It's
Extraordinary.
But those kind of early, again, kind of groundbreaking, massively groundbreaking films of their times, where they're really experimental for what they are, for the time period.
Yeah.
So again.
Yeah, amazing. Now, let's see. Pumper Schnicks, I think I got that right here in Discord. Did y'all have a favorite childhood cartoon? What filled your childhood days?
I love Scooby-Doo.
Oh my gosh, me too. I was so happy to see the Reformation Brewery mystery machine out here. If you go out in front of the brewery, I think it's like giant cutout of the whole Scooby Gang, like front view of it.
Amazing.
It's so great. It's so good.
I mean, I grew up on He-Man. Remember that show Mask?
Yeah. Mask TV show.
Mask was
That's
so, and
that's
the
a
toys
TV
were
show.
so rad. I grew up in the era where the shows were made for the toys, and I had all of those things.
Did you have Thunderbirds?
Yeah. Wasn't as huge.
No, it
as
wasn't
it is.
cartoon, but puppets and
Yeah.
Thunderbirds and yeah. Anyway.
I feel like we're getting your Saturday morning cartoon lineup.
Yeah.
Do you remember the raccoons? Did you watch the raccoons? They kind of like hook noses.
All right, DragonCon, y'all are here for us. Tell us.
Or the Wuzzles? Y'all remember the
Oh, I just remember the Wuzzles.
Wuzzles was great. Crunchy Cheese? I know it. I didn't watch it. I don't know. Saturday morning cartoons were big. And also like Nickelodeon, Saturday night Nickelodeon,
Yeah.
Are You Afraid of the Dark? Doug, Rugrats, Ren and Stimpy. I mean, what a legendary time. The 90s were so legendary.
Yeah.
For animation, my
Billy
God.
West was here this weekend.
Really?
He was here this weekend for other stuff. Yeah, he was walking around. I had a panel with him. What an incredible human being. Did the voice and everything. It was so good. Anyways, off topic, but yeah. Cartoons, we love them here at DragonCon. So, in all the time that you have both worked together, which is a lot, I'm sure, I'm always interested to hear about the fun things you do offset.
Yes.
What was maybe one of the grand adventures you all took together, or something silly you did, or personal you might have done together offset?
Plenty of dinners.
Lots of dinners.
Okay, so food,
Yeah.
food's a bonding experience.
We played really badly. We played golf.
Yeah,
Oh,
that's
really?
Is that in front of the chateau?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was bad.
Really.
You know, the chateau has shut down. Yeah. I know. It's a shame. And it's kind of I was talking to a friend and colleague in New Zealand, like, we should just hire it out and go coast film.
Oh, totally.
Take it over before it gets,
That's really sad.
I know it is. That place is really special. There's this great hotel at the base of, it was Mount Rohini, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And there was nothing else around it.
It was totally The Shining.
It was very nice. And there was a golf course out front, but it wasn't beautified by any means. It was just this golf course. And we played in the rain.
Yep.
It was raining.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We played badly in the rain.
Yeah.
We did. I remember.
It's snooker tables inside too. That's right.
We did have a fairly memorable headwind at the Angry Inch party.
That's right. Was that during pickups? I think it was during pickups, yeah.
Now that sounds like fun.
It was fun.
That sounds great.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Foster Fantasy 8 here in Discord wants to know, are y'all fans of podcasts, and do you have a favorite one? Do you have a favorite podcast right now you're listening to? Or I could say audiobook as well. Some people prefer the audiobook realm.
I'm not really a podcast listener to it.
Yeah. So you don't do a lot of audio-based listening?
I don't actually.
Is that probably because everybody's listening to you instead?
Yeah.
Yeah. I find Joe, actually talking about going back, talking to you young stuff, I wish I'd read more. I used to love reading novels, and then stopped reading when work came along because it was only ever related to the projects.
Yeah,
So
sure.
I feel like that's something I really want to do. And so actually, I should listen to audiobooks because you can,
Yes.
you know,
I feel exactly the same. Exactly the same.
What about you? Do you do the podcast?
I
realm?
do.
Yeah.
I do. Equally struggle for time, but I have a bit of a commute occasionally to an office, and it's a perfect. It's like 45 minutes, so I can listen to stuff then. I cycle through different podcasts. There's a great podcast. It's really interesting paranormal story. It's called The Other World. Has anyone heard of Other World?
Oh yeah.
It's really good, and it's ranging. It's not all meant to be scary, or it's not necessarily all ghost related. It's all just odd, interesting paranormal experiences told from the people who are sort of recounting their experience. Really interesting. The Risk podcast is good. You know, just a great kind of storytelling podcast, similar to The Moth. The Moth is really good as well. This American Life. Occasionally,
Yeah.
You know, it's classic racing podcast. But I'm hungry for something to like dive into that is a season long telling a single narrative, like a deep dive documentary podcast.
Oh yeah.
Which I really love, and I haven't listened to one of those in a while. I love Love and Radio. If anyone's listening to Love and Radio. Secrets Hotline is a really good podcast. Secret Hotline is the main dude from Love and Radio started this podcast where it's literally a hotline. You call in, you're anonymous, and you tell your secrets, whatever that is. And so it's, you know, and it ranges from like 10 to 30 minutes long. And it's just various people telling, and they kind of try to theme it out based on like the ones that they've gotten in. So it's like, is it relating to family or whatever it might be, weird dreams, things like that. It's fascinating, hilarious, heartbreaking, all kinds of different. Yeah, it's really interesting.
I'll check that out.
It's good. And it's bite-sized, so you can jump into that. You don't have to do it all the time.
Well, we're in the last few minutes here of the panel, unfortunately, as much as I'm sure we all like to just sit and hang out with both of you all day long. It is. Yeah, I was feeling a little dark side today. I've got my evil genius and my the Empire did nothing wrong. That being said, I always like to ask, kind of as a close-up, if money and time were of no object, and you could really launch a project of passion and love, what would you want to do? All the money, all the people, all the everything you need. What would you put out there?
There's a dream project that probably can't happen now because of choices that the original filmmaker has made in his life. There's a film. Has anyone seen Primer by Shane Carruth? Primer's amazing. It's in the lexicon of time travel film. Have you seen Primer? It's incredible. Primer is basically like, imagine if time travel were two dudes in their garage that cracked it, and the time travel is really small in terms of the space and time in which they travel to. They go to they travel to a storage unit. Anyway, it's incredible and it's very heavy. Great movie. So that filmmaker ended up making another movie called Upstream Color. He wrote this thing called Topiary that is one of the best scripts I've ever read, one of the best visions for a film that I can imagine. Very, very Amblin-esque. He put the trailer, he did a tone trailer for it years and years ago. He put that tone trailer online, so look it up, a Topiary. It is visionary. And he made some choices in his life and had a bit of a breakdown, and I don't know that movie's ever going to come to fruition. Sure. But if I had all the money in the world to like bring something to life that I have crossed paths with in my life, it would be that movie. It's just extraordinary. But there's others. I mean, if we had just free money thrown at us, and just as like facilitators, director, producers, holy shit! The amount of movies that I would just go green light, you make this movie, like holy shit! I mean, there are so many amazing filmmakers and writers and people we get to come across. And if we just had a rolling film fund, holy mackerel, the kinds of movies that we would want to put out, it's thrilling.
Yeah.
It's thrilling to think about.
What about you, Andy? You got anything you would make happen?
I mean, I've got so many projects which are dream projects that I've been trying to get made for such a long time. If they come, the dreams will become a reality.
Yeah.
So there are. I mean, yeah. I tell you one thing that I've always wanted to make, which I don't think I'll ever probably get the chance to. But do you remember a book called The Phantom Tollbooth?
Yes. What was that?
I loved that book as a kid, and I've always wanted to make that.
There's an animated.
There was in the 70s. There was there was a version of it.
Wow,
Remember, there was a version of it. But I just think I remember being absolutely entranced by it as a kid.
Oh yeah, me too.
You know, it would just be great. But anyway, that's not one of the projects that hopefully I'll get made first. But yeah, no, that would be.
That would be very cool.
Some Ray Bradbury would be amazing as well.
Yeah.
I feel like doing, especially now in the advent of streaming, you could do an adaptation of the Martian Chronicles.
Oh.
Because the thing about Martian Chronicles is that it is so many different stories within the
Right.
context of the whole novel. You could parse that out in a streaming way that would be really interesting. I love Bradbury writing. It's awesome.
Well, I want to thank both of you from the bottom of my heart and the bottom of DragonCon's heart. I want to take a moment, tell everybody where they can find you the rest of today.
I think we've got photo ops coming up.
Yeah.
Photo ops, and will you be signing in the Walk of Fame?
Yes, there will be a little bit more signing in the Walk of Fame.
Okay, great. You guys-
I'm signing, but I don't know which, where, or who, because I'm not organised.
Great. Check your app, everybody. Thank you again. Another round